There are mountains you cannot conquer by strength alone. Not because they are too high. Not because they are too steep. But because humans have never truly been permitted to go there. There are peaks hidden by dense jungles and uncontacted tribes. There are summits only discovered when a scientist accidentally zoomed in on Google Earth. There are places standing on sensitive political borders where a single misstep is enough to cause a diplomatic crisis. And there are peaks untouched by a single human footprint. This list is not about the highest mountains. Rather, it is about the most inaccessible mountains on the planet, discovered, confirmed, and tracked primarily from satellites. And the number one mountain on this list might be the most isolated place you've ever seen on Google Earth. Let's find out where that is. But first, if you love exploring these mysterious mountains, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any exciting videos. Now, let's get started. We begin with the most inaccessible mountain in the world. A peak whose difficulty is not ice or rock, but the law of a nation. This is Gangkhar Puensum, also written as Kongkhar Puensum, at 7,570 meters, 24,836 feet, located on the border of Bhutan and China. This mountain holds the title of the highest unclimbed peak in the world. The reason it is impossible to access is a government decree. Following several unsuccessful climbing attempts in the 1980s, the government of Bhutan issued an absolute ban on climbing any peak higher than 6,000 meters starting in 2003. This prohibition was put in place out of respect for Bhutan's deep religious and cultural beliefs, which regard these high peaks as the sacred dwelling places of gods and spirits. Before the ban, there were 4 permitted expeditions, but all failed to reach the summit. One attempt in 1998 was denied a permit after they tried to approach from the Tibetan side. This inaccessibility is effectively permanent, unlike other mountains that are off-limits for security reasons. Gangkhar Puensum is blocked by a cultural and religious injunction, making it a peak entirely isolated from the international climbing community. Gangkhar Puensum is not inaccessible for technical reasons but because of the steadfast conviction of an entire nation. It will forever stand there, majestic and untouched, as a symbol of the respect between humanity and nature. From politically forbidden peaks, we travel to a place of absolute geographical isolation. Our next mountain stands alone on an uninhabited island off the coast of Antarctica. A giant volcano that has never been climbed. This is Mount Siple. A massive, completely ice-covered shield volcano on uninhabited Siple Island. The mountain stands at 3,162 meters, 10.374 feet, and has the third greatest topographic prominence in Antarctica even by Antarctic standards. This area is a rarely visited blank spot, located in the harshest, most remote waters of the ocean between the Amundsen and Bellingshausen seas. Mount Siple is widely listed as unclimbed, and is one of the top unclimbed prominent peaks on the planet. What makes it nearly impossible to access is the logistical challenge of getting there. Access requires ice-reinforced research vessels operating in drift ice-filled and often storm-racked seas. From a rare coastal landing site, an expedition would face crevassed glacier slopes, fierce Antarctic storms, and the absence of any rescue infrastructure for hundreds of miles. Any climbing route would be pure conjecture on a volcano buried under ice, protected by its frigid isolation and the unforgiving nature of the ice continent. We leave the extreme ice and delve deep into the tropical jungle. Our next mountain is arguably the most isolated peak on Earth, a perfect cone hidden deep in the Amazon, protected by wilderness and law at the same time. This is Cerro El Cono, the Cone Hill, an almost perfect pyramid rising from the jungle in eastern Peru. It stands only about 700 meters high, but it rises hundreds of meters above the surrounding flat ocean of trees, creating an utterly alien spectacle. Cerro El Cono is located deep within the Sierra del Divisor National Park, one of the most remote areas in the entire Amazon. The real reason this mountain is on the list is simple. You are not allowed to go there. The area overlaps with the territory of uncontacted indigenous tribes, and the Peruvian government considers this zone to be the most strictly protected. The purpose of this ban is to protect life, preventing the tribes from disease and outside interference. This means that obtaining a permit to enter the park is virtually impossible. Even if you somehow manage to get there, the mountain itself has no trails, no mapped routes, and no documented ascents. Cerro El Cono is protected by a dual barrier: the physical isolation of the jungle and a stringent legal prohibition, making it a permanent Amazonian mystery. Leaving the Amazon, we travel far out into the South Atlantic. Our next mountain rises from a tiny island that is dubbed the most remote inhabited place on Earth. This is Queen Mary's Peak, a prominent stratovolcano standing 2,062 meters, 6,765 feet, high on the tiny volcanic island of Tristan da Cunha. The peak features a crater containing a famous heart-shaped lake, but its beauty comes with immense logistical challenges. What makes Queen Mary's Peak nearly inaccessible is not the climb itself, but the journey to the island. Tristan da Cunha has no airport and is located approximately 2,800 kilometers, 1,750 miles, from the coast of South Africa. The only way to get there is by fishing or supply vessel from Cape Town, a voyage that takes 6 days across notoriously rough seas. Furthermore, only about 9 to 10 ships visit the island each year. Even once you complete the lengthy sea voyage, the climb up the volcano itself, a muddy and steep trek, is entirely dependent on the small weather windows provided by the ocean. The peak saw destruction in 1961, when an eruption on its flank forced the entire population to evacuate. Queen Mary's Peak requires a greater commitment of time and logistics than perhaps any other peak on this list. Guarded by the solitude of the ocean. From the isolation of the ocean, we fly half a world away and delve into one of the coldest and most remote regions on land. Our next mountain is located in one of the coldest inhabited areas on Earth. This is Gora Pobeda, Victory Peak, the highest point of the Chersky Range in northeastern Siberia, standing at 3,003 meters, 9,852 feet. Though not among the world's highest mountains, it is considered one of the most extreme and remote climbing locations in the entire northern hemisphere. Gora Pobeda's difficulty lies in its temperature and distance. It is situated near Oymyakon, often dubbed the pole of cold of the northern hemisphere, where winter temperatures routinely plummet below -50 C, -58 F. Access is the major initial hurdle. The nearest established road is reportedly hundreds of kilometers away. To reach the base, expeditions must organize multi-day journeys via specialized off-road vehicles or helicopters across vast, empty tundra, where there is no shelter, no infrastructure, and no support. Climbers face incredibly harsh conditions, where equipment can freeze solid overnight and skin exposure can lead to immediate frostbite. Gora Pobeda is a supreme test of logistical isolation and temperature endurance in the immense Arctic wilderness. And that concludes our journey across some of the world's most nearly impossible peaks, from the permanent religious prohibition of Kongar Puensum, the political and geographical isolation of Mount Paektu, to the sheer biological fortress of Mount Liko. These mountains remind us that, even in the age of satellites and Google Earth, there are still places on the planet protected by ice, desert, jungle, law, and religious belief. They represent the final true limits between the Earth's wild nature and humanity's urge to conquer. If you are fascinated by these stories of isolation, logistical barriers, and unresolved mysteries nestled at the world's high points, our journey of exploration is just beginning. If you want to delve deeper into the historical details, geology, or the quiet exploratory efforts that have attempted to overcome these barriers, don't hesitate. Right finger hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the detailed stories and deep analysis of other forgotten corners of the world. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.